I'm curious about the whole music, right? I know scientifically there's a dopamine that everybody kind of connects to, that's way above my pay grade. I haven't read that much. I just Googled it real quick before I started talking to you. But what do you think it is about music that connects everybody together?
I just feel like music, it unlocks like the emotion within people, right? And it takes you back to like certain points in your life, like especially like when you hear like an old school track that you heard, it literally could take you back to how you felt when you were like 19. You were popping bottles every weekend, like you told me.
That was not true. I have a twin brher, so it was him.
Yeah, but I feel like music, depending on how you're feeling in the day, right? It's crazy because like there's some days that I want to listen to like, emo rock, and then there's some days that I want to listen to like hip hop, and then some days I want to just put on a house set for like 5 hours. So I feel like people use music not as an escape, but as to kind of like,
I'm gonna give you
like release emotion, like even though like you're hearing it and you're not really like doing anything, but it's in a way it's like an emotional thing that you feel when you hear certain music, certain styles of music.
I agree with you. And I was thinking about this, and I'm sure I didn't come up with this, but I feel like us as humans, like we're moving too fast right now. Even more, it's just our brains, right?
Everything is so fast.
We're like the internet browser with like 10 things that are open, and we're just clicking and clicking. It feels like we're having trouble communicating.
Yeah.
Like just overall, I think everyone says they're a good communicator, but they're not. Like even just trying to not only articulate how you feel, but express it in a professional and not, in a nicer way. I think we're having trouble communicating. And I feel like sometimes like listening to a song that clicks with how you feel almost kind of recreates that, and it slows it down. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
No, it does.
But I know I kind of feel like that. Like I'm into this like running thing now, which I just, still doing it. It's funny when, I don't know, I know you're a pitcher as well, like me. How'd you feel about running when you were in playing sports?
I used to hate it, but I liked it a lot more after than
I'm doing it. It's almost like I felt I had to do it. I'm being told to do, and now I'm doing it. It's actually one of the few times that I get to escape.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I read like Bruce Lee did it to meditate, so maybe I'll be like Bruce Lee.
Yeah, I have my escape is golf. I like to just go and play and just be out there for like 3-4 hours.
Do you play it by yourself?
No, I usually play with people, but it's just kind of like, since I'm very, very competitive, I like to play, I like to score well. Like when I play, you can ask John Michael, I go crazy out there when I'm playing.
Really?
Yeah. I'm really, really competitive. And golf is so hard. And it's something that I've been trying to master for like a really long time. And I'm literally every day I'm trying to get better. I try to get better. It's like a challenge with myself.
It's funny. Yeah. I think golf, for me, it's about expectations playing golf too. It's just, the less I play, the better I think I am, because I don't expect to be all of a sudden
it's tough, man.
Tiger Woods
it's
after two lessons.
So hard.
And the ball staying still too.
It's so hard. I've been playing golf for like 15 years, but I say like competitively in regards to like, trying to score and trying to improve since I would say maybe for like 10 years. And yeah, it's so hard. Back to your workout, running. I don't run as much as I used to, but now what I do is I work out only HIIT, high intensity.
Okay.
So I'll run or do jump rope or whatever in between every single set. So like I can only work out if I'm doing a high intensity workout. I can't just lift and just be in the gym and just work out regularly. I can only work out high intensity.
And get the blood flowing.
Yeah.
Well, for sure.
100%. And that's like kind of my like escape too. So like whenever I'm working out, I just kind of like doze off from like the world for like an hour, and that's like my time to like,
Do you feel like when you're doing that, like when do you feel like you're most creative in your creative process? Is it when you're being distracted, like working out, for example? Like when is it, again, the outside noise is so crazy. Like I'm always curious to know, how do you get into that mode? Like how do you get into that creative mode?
So when I'm working out, I only listen to house music, because when I'm working out, I feel like my endorphins are like going through the roof, and then I'm just thinking about everything. I'm thinking kind of like when I told you, like when I hear music, I'm dissecting.
You're looking at it. You're not even enjoying it.
I can't even hear music anymore regularly. Every time I hear music, I'm dissecting music. That's just from making music for after a certain time, all you do is make music. You dissect music every time you hear it. So I like to hear house music when I'm working out, only when I'm working out, because that's when like I feel like I'm like my brain is just like
it's on
fire.
The sharpest.
It's on fire. So I think of ideas like that. I'm in the gym working out, and I'm like sending voice notes to my buddies of ideas back and forth, and people think that I'm crazy, but it's just like that's when I'm like going. And then besides, that's the only time that I listen to house music. So, I know obviously when I'm working on it or playing, but besides that, I try to listen to like other styles of music.
Let me ask you, being like as an artist, right? You're kind of on this island by yourself in this creative process. Do you kind of collaborate with other artists? Do you have kind of like a springboard, or kind of like I don't know, like, dude, you're gonna send me a thing. I'm gonna say it's awesome because it's just I like it, right? But technically speaking, how do you kind of surround yourself around with people that help push you to the next level?
Yeah. So one of the cool things of like the house music industry is being able to collaborate with other artists and other DJs and like releasing music together. So you always want to have like your circle of like, 3, 4, or 5 guys that you have confidence in, or that maybe that are better than you as a producer, that you can ask for their opinion, and like very honest opinion, right? One of the things about this industry is very, very competitive, and believe it or not, people are not the most, it's unfortunate because like you look in Europe and overseas and they all push each other. And America is like the opposite. Like everyone's kind of like
USA, bro.
Yeah, everyone's for themselves and trying to make do their own thing, and rightfully so.
I get it. They got the knife in the back.
Exactly. And especially in the music industry is really, really shady. So the cool thing is, finding a couple handful of guys that you trust their opinion, that are better than you for sure, that that they're a better producer than you just because of experience or longevity or whatever or success that they've had, and trying to work with them. Right. Obviously, you don't want to, like, I'm not going to be going up to like Solomon and like these, or like the Martinez brothers and like these like kingpin titans of underground music and asking for their opinion, because they don't know who I am and they're not going to talk to me. But like, you always want to be able to collaborate or talk to or get advice from somebody that it's one step ahead of you, because it keeps you competitive, it keeps you on your toes,
elevates your game,
yeah. And that you're going to get a real response from them, and that's only going to help you in the long run, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it. I feel, like I said, staying humble is one of the most important things, because people like that about artists that are humble. People don't like to work with artists that are dicks, because they work with you one time, they think you're a dick, and that's it. They won't work with you again, So
and you never know it's just how you treat people. You never know how it's going to come on 5-10 years from now.
Exactly.
This is big, but it's a small world.
So that was what I was gonna get to. So the music industry is so small. So somebody that maybe was just coming up before you, like a little bit under you, you gave them a chance to work on a track with you together. Whatever, everything's fine, nothing happens. Maybe that guy comes out with a track after you on his own that blows up. And like in a year from now, that guy is the head of a label, has his own label, and can put you on. So you always want to treat everybody the same way you want to be treated, because you never know. The music industry, and like any industry, is so small.
It's a life lesson.
Yeah, like even like an ADP, right? So I've been with ADP 9 years. I started in SBS, and then I've worked my way up to Total Source, which is like the biggest platform that we have. But along the way, people that I've worked with are now managers or divisional managers or VPs or executives in a bunch of different divisions that eventually, let's say one day down the road, could potentially be my boss that I started off with. So I feel like in anything, you want to be humble. You want to be, you want people to treat you the same way you treat them, which is with respect. And eventually, I feel like karma. If you do the right thing and you're a good person, eventually I think things find a way to sort them more.
No, 100%. Let me ask you, how do you how many times you cross over being in the ADP world and then working on the weekends, right? Putting out music, putting out doing different sets. Does it ever cross over?
No.
If you show up Monday a little bit late, they're like, oh, look what happened.
No, I feel like in the beginning when I was a little bit younger, when I was like in my late 20s, I feel it was a little bit different because I wasn't married, and the parties were probably a lot better back then. The partying was a lot better back then. So I'm sure I had a couple, but I've always done I realized, so when I already had been like 3 years into ADP, like my Instagram and my social media was like a mix of like everything. Like when I made President's Club, I would post it. When I had like a really cool ADP event, I would post it, but then I would post music stuff. Sorry. Okay. So everybody that was following me from the music side be like, well, who is this guy? What is he doing? Like, why is he posting ADP stuff? Like, I don't care about ADP stuff, So I came into the realization, and like one of the managers that I had back in the time, he's like, you have to completely separate everything. Like, there's no reason for you to post anything on your socials. Like, if you want to do this music thing, like nobody cares about it's two different crowds. So
two different crowds.
Two different crowds. So I've done a really good job at separating the two. So like a lot of people that know me from the music industry don't even know that I have a full blown ADP sales corporate job. And a lot of people on ADP, when they see this other side of me, they freak out because they can't even put two and two together. Because I've done a really, really good job at separating the both, not only from a social media perspective, but the way that I am too. I'm like two different people. Yeah. Like,
I think you have to too.
Anthony Perez is one person, and Malone is like a completely
the shirt and the tie. Yeah. And then you got the.
It's like two different. It's like two completely different people.
Yeah, let me ask you, what's it like? What's it like performing? What's it like performing in front of? I don't know. What's the largest group you performed with?
So I did Mexico like 2 years ago. I think it was like almost like close to like 4,000 people.
Now, and what's that like? Like, I mean, and you being in high tense situations, playing sports like us growing up, is it comparable doing that other than playing baseball?
Yeah, it's a different type of nerves. You know, I was a closer in college, and I would come into like very high leverage, like very, very intense situations. So I kind of had a little bit of being around those like high intensity situations, but like this music thing is so different because like there's something that's kind of like this like unspoken like metric that you can't like quantify, which is like it's just like the vibe and the energy in the air. Like when you're literally controlling like the vibe and energy of like 4,000 people, like with the music that you're playing. Like one little mistake in your mix,
you could kill it. I didn't think about that.
The energy in the room dies like this. Like even if you mix in a song and you mix it in well and you mix it in perfectly, but the song that you mix in, the vibe and the energy of that track is just completely has nothing to do with the one that you were just playing. Like you can feel the energy in the room get sucked out in a second.
So how do you quantify that? Like if you did a good set, like it's just based on.
Yeah, you could just tell.
It's like
you
just
feel
reaction.
It. You
reaction?
just know. And it's weird because I can even feel it in my live streams, and it's just me in front of a camera.
Really?
And there's nobody there, but I know when I had a good show and when I did it. It's just something that music does. It's like this energy that just kind of like stays and just builds and just kind of continues throughout the set. And the goal of being a good DJ is to maintain that, right? Obviously, you don't want to be peaking at all times. You have to be able to, you know, have moments that boom, okay, this is a big moment, and then you bring it back down. Because if you're just pumping in and having peak moments at all times, your set's gonna last 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Like
it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. So that's, you know, and you develop that through years and practice, you know, and practice and being in certain situations and playing different rooms and playing different stages and playing different clubs. You know, you learn that there's a really, I know we were talking about how easy it's gotten to DJ now with technology and, you know, the equipment and stuff like that, but there's an art that goes behind DJing that's like not spoken of.
I think people assume it's easy now. Like it's just, you know, whatever. They look at a computer technology,
no.
throw some songs in there.
It's very difficult. So for example, like Sunday, I played a 4-hour opening set on Sunday, right? So like the guy that runs that, it's his party. He came up to me and he thanked me like if I like had blessed him with something, because he's like, you don't understand how important it is, the job that you just did, like, because I set the vibe for the rest of the party. So imagine if you are a party owner, you're an event planner, a promoter, if the opening DJ sucks and it kills the vibe,
people might leave,
people don't spend money, people don't stay, people don't drink, the vibe is weird, it takes time to bring it back. But like if the vibe is good from the beginning, it establishes the energy of the party.
That's funny, I never thought about that.
Dude, it's so huge. It's like in baseball, like the unwritten rules in baseball, like you don't throw in front of the dugout, you know, or like, you know, you don't put your hat backwards, or, you know, when we used to do the twos on the 2-2-2 count, like those little unwritten rules that you can't really quantify, or like the team chemistry, or like why a manager, like a lot of people argue that the manager in baseball doesn't matter, right? But the clubhouse, the energy,
they're the connector in chief.
Of course,
they're the ones kind
if
of
the
like,
vibe in the clubhouse is not good, no team is gonna win in baseball. You know how it is. Like a lot of teams that are not even as good as other ones sometimes win because of like the chemistry and like the brotherhood that's within the clubhouse, right? So like those little uncertain, unwritten rules and like things that you can't quantify, there's a lot of that in behind music as well, especially when you're playing and DJing a live event.
Let me ask you, being South Florida, very similar Hispanic background, how was it? How did your parents react kind of going into, because look, it's music, right? You have a 9-to-5 job, pro, you're going to be in the big leagues, like, you know, like I was or whatever. That changed. How did your parents kind of react or support you getting into becoming an artist?
Yeah. So my parents have always been super supportive. You know, I've luckily had amazing parents, but I've also put in the work to earn their trust and their respect, right? Like I've always been a great student. I've always been super responsible. I've never gotten into any trouble. And then I've always worked like really, really hard. So in ADP, kind of like what I told you, and then the other stuff that I was doing while I was at ADP, I've always financially been able to provide for myself. You know, I bought my first house at 27. I've always been financially there, and I've always had the responsibility. So like when I started doing this music thing in the background, they kind of thought it was more of like a fun, just kind of like a hobby type of thing.
Yeah, like a fad, you kind of go away.
Exactly. But, you know, as things have continued to progress, and then I started to like make music and like really like just dedicate a lot of time into learning how to make music and better the craft. You know, with that came better shows. And then like when I told you that I took my parents to Mexico with me to see me play on that stage in front of like 4,000 people opening up for Tiesto like 2 or 3 years ago, that's when I kind of like clicked for them, and they were like, okay, this is like a real thing, you know? But it's just like you said, like having that balance, you know, and like not letting the music thing affect my professional, you know, 9-to-5 job, and then having enough time with a 9-to-5 job and working hard enough and efficiently enough in that 9-to-5 job to be able to do the music thing, right? So
yeah, I see that. I mean, I was always curious about how you balance both, following your passion and then obviously building your career. And I think you said it best. That comes down to being disciplined and anything, right? Being kind of like being able to have both two different things and being able to cross over, but not affect either or.
Yeah, I think it's being disciplined is very, very important, but also being efficient is really, really important too. Because my friends make fun of me all the time, and they give me shit all the time. They think that I'm like a machine. I'm like I'm a Terminator, but that's just who I am.
I like Batman better. But.
I'm like the most. I'm always thinking like 2 steps ahead. Like I'm always like on top of everything. Like I like to plan stuff. I like to just be like really efficient because. I like to get stuff done. So like I really am like a Terminator. Like I'm like I have a routine with everything that I do. I'm very, very disciplined and I stick to it. So like I work ADP as hard as I can every single day, Monday through Friday from, let's say realistically, 8:30, 9, because, sales doesn't really start until after, that time.
So people show up to work.
Exactly. To around realistically, call it 3, 4, every single day. I feel like if you work really hard for a certain amount of time, it's better than working so or not working as hard and trying to work till like 5:36. If you're not really doing shit, it doesn't really matter, right? Yeah. So being as efficient as you can with your time, and then once that's over, it's like take this hat off, and then it's like switch to everything else in regards to music.
So how much is music like every day you're thinking about what you're creating, what's next, like what's the next?
There's different things. So like there's projects that you already started. There's projects that you need to finish or you want to create. So I kind of like split my week up into different things. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is like it's just creating days. So I work my normal hours wherever I go to the gym, and then from 6:30, let's say 7 to like 10 every night, 3-4 hours. It's just music. Whether it's finishing a project or starting something new.
When you say project mean like a song or a set?
Like a track, track.
So how long, soup to nuts, like start to finish, does it take you to create one song? You think?
So it depends. If it's like a remix for like a label or something that they already give you like a bunch of the stems and like the vocals and stuff like that, it's typically a little bit faster. I would say. I mean, at least for me, I'm not that fast, and I can only dedicate a couple hours a day, without burning myself out. So I think a track right now is probably taking me like 2 to 3 weeks. More or less to like for me, and there's some people that do a track in a day, but like that's all they do,
Right. No, that's in the zone.
But especially for me, that I'm still learning and I'm still trying to get better every day. I think 2 weeks, if I can, I'm gonna say 2 weeks. Maybe it's by hours, so maybe call it 3, 10, like 20 hours.
Because of the song.
Yeah, like 15 to 20 hours spending on a track, because it's just it's a lot goes into it, like finding different elements and trying to create it.
No, just the fact is, I mean, again. Me not knowing much about music, the fact that you actually you went back and studied piano to get a better base of how to make music. Again, with technology, people just assume it's easy.
Yeah.
Just kind of put the lines together and keep going.
Yeah. No, and it's honestly, a lot of people don't even know piano. They've never taken a class in their life, but is
that the only instrument you play?
Yeah. Okay. They just know their program more than anybody. So like if you spend 1,000 hours doing something, you're gonna master that. Or 10,000 hours doing something, you're gonna master it. Exactly, like golf. So there's kids or guys that they've never taken any music, or they don't know. They know like very, very basic stuff, but they just know how to work within their program that they make music on, and that works for them. But everyone's different, right? So one of the things that the reason why I wanted to do that was because I felt like being able to understand at least music a little bit fundamentally and the theory behind it, it allowed me to understand what I was trying to make.
It's the why, not just how to do it, but why you're doing it.
Yeah, and a lot of people, what they do is they find a track that they really, really like, or like one of their biggest DJs. I mean, one of the biggest advice that I've seen on one of the tutorials that I watch is find an artist that you're obsessed with their music, that you feel like is the best producer or the best DJ in the world. Grab one of their songs, put it into your program, and try to remake that
almost
song.
Mimic it,
but like in your own version, right? And that's one of the things that I've always done, is just really looking at what the big guys and like the best producers are doing, and just trying to understand their reasoning and their thought process behind all their tracks. And you do that, you learn that, you see it. When you're looking at their music and you're studying their track, you're understanding what it is that they're doing, why they do this here, why they do that there, and then little by little you start learning little techniques and little tricks, and that's how you kind of develop your sound and then make it your own as you go.
Let me ask you. So, obviously, we're still hopefully at the tail end of COVID. What's next for Malone?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. I've been really doing the live streams. I'm trying to build that. We're building like an amazing community with Twitch and Abracadabra. It's allowed me to really expand and grow. And I think now with more than ever, especially since there's not gonna be a lot of events happening, I think adapting to that and going all in with that is something that's been helping. Like kind of like what I mentioned to you. One of the biggest factors in growing in this industry is getting hype and maintaining hype, and hype is not hype only as hype. What I mean by hype is like really expanding yourself and your brand to people all over the world, right? And just kind of focusing on that and just making as much music as possible. I think I have a bunch of music coming out that I'm super excited about this year, and then hopefully, you never know what track is gonna stick or what track is gonna hit hard. But getting on the radars of some bigger labels and ultimately, signing to an agent, like a music agent, will be good. So by the time that everything does open up, hopefully I've maintained this momentum and this hype,
right? Throughout the process.
Throughout the process, that when things open up, hopefully I can start playing a lot more shows and bigger shows.
Well, I'm excited for you, man. I'm excited to. I watch you now, kind of hear your music. She's Lying when you came out with the. Yeah. I actually downloaded Spotify to get the song, and it's cool, man. And the more I talk to you, the more I learn about the creative process. It makes me like music even more. So if you ever have a music video, can I get in the background?
Yeah, for sure.
Let me get a little cameo.
The crazy thing about She Lion is I had that track for like almost like 2 years.
Really?
Right? Yeah. So I had used the famous sample of from the past, and we tried to clear it. I had it signed to a very, very big label. We tried to clear it. They denied it. Like the original singer, she denied it. Then I had it signed again to an even bigger label, and they tried to clear it, and it was denied again. So then we did some research because we were just already pissed already. We did some research, and apparently the original song was made like in the 1950s from like an African folk band from the 50s. So there's like this rule within music: if a track is over 50 years from the original,
automatically kicked off.
Yeah, as long as you re-sing it, it's you're okay. So I just had a girl, instead of using like the actual sample, I just had somebody re-sing it, and this massive house label in Australia signed it, and that was then. But that was the history with that. But it's just crazy to think that a track that I had been sitting on for so long finally came out, and it was like the best one that I had come out with in ever.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, brother, I appreciate you doing this, man. I'm excited to see what's next for you. I'm into music now more because of you.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Music is amazing. Music is amazing, and we gotta get your little DJ for the next holiday party. You gotta DJ the.
Dude, honestly, I will buy a set. You teach me, that'd be fun. And show me how to do a couple moves.
Yeah,
I would love to show up to like my mom's like Christmas party and just start DJing, have her freak out. I'll tell her, Mom, that's it. I'm done. I'm gonna be start throwing croquetas at people and stuff.
That's awesome.
But I appreciate you, man. Thanks for doing this, man.
Of course, man.
Thank you, bro.